of us have experienced something similar. But has Krishna ever said, if you do not give me the time, if you do not give me the effort, I'm going to walk away from you? Do we ever feel like that? Do we ever feel pressure on ourselves that, oh, if I don't go to the temple today, that's it, my relationship's over with God? Has anybody ever felt that? I've never felt that. Maybe there's some guilt, but I'll never feel, oh, Krishna's going to leave me. It's always the one steady relationship in our entire life that is constantly there, through thick and thin, really. Sometimes I look around and I think of people that maybe don't believe in God. And I think, well, when things get hard, and their relationships in everyday life fail, who do they turn to? Like, I'm genuinely confused. We're so lucky that we have someone that we can really approach and develop a relationship with, because he's the one person we can have a permanent relationship, and everything else in this world, as sad as it may be, is temporary. Everyone and everything else is temporary. Careers change, our educations change. Eventually some of you may finish your education and leave Bangalore. Your relationships here may dwindle, may not. So this is something that a relationship we should try really, really hard to cultivate. But like we said, it is difficult. So hopefully I can help with that. So this is an acronym. I was listening to a class the other day, and it really stood out to me, and I took some notes from it. So the acronym is CAST. C-A-S-T. C for category, A for accountability, S for space, and T for time. So these are just 4 tips that I'm hoping can help some of you practically so implement these things into our daily lives. So the first one, C, I don't think we can read very well, I'll try and do that for you. C is for category, opening new doors. So in our different relationships, suppose you have a friend, and they've been a very good friend for you for a long time. There's 2 things, there's bonds and there's boundaries. When we have a bond with someone, it means I can connect with you, right? We're connecting with someone, we've been friends for a very long time, but all of a sudden maybe they get married and they move away. That's where the boundary comes in. What is the boundary now between us and this friend? Marriage. Okay, not that it's a bad thing, but there's a boundary, right? It's a bit different to how it was before, maybe. Perhaps they don't relate to the same things you used to, or perhaps they moved away. A boundary comes in. So perhaps we start making new friends. Now, we don't really know these friends. How can we relate to these friends? What are things we can do to try and relate to these friends with? How can we start our relationships? Suppose you came to Bangalore for the first time.
Talking about personal interest.
Yeah, talking about personal interest, very good. We're talking about personal interest, things that are interesting to them, as well as us. Anything else?
Some commonalities we have with that person.
Good, like mutual understandings, mutual interests, yes. Anything else? Anyone? Okay, so similarly in our relationship with Krishna, there are categories. So oftentimes, when we try to connect with someone, like you both said, we try to explore their mutual interests between us and them, things that they like. And with all friends, I think you can think of your own relationships. A lot of the time, you don't have similar interests. Maybe one of you really likes studying, one of you really likes fashion, for example. But for the sake of the other person, you take the interest to find out, okay, what can I do to show them that I also am interested in what they like? So similarly, what I think is really, really cool about being young in spirituality is exploration of these different categories. Now there are 3 different types. There is something called exploring untried services. So we all here have some hobbies, I'm sure, apart from studying and working, which you're all doing. I think it's a hobby. I'm sure every one of you in this room, whether you're really good at it or maybe it's something you're exploring, everyone has a talent here. So something that's special that I find, and a way to connect to Krishna, is offering this talent or interest that you have to him. Because often at times it is difficult, sometimes to always sit through classes and read books, and we want to do something else. We want to really be useful. So exploring the category of service, addressing topics that might connect us and him is very important. It could be drawing, it could be painting, it could be cooking, it could be people that like more of the business side, managing, in accounting, really anything. That's the really cool thing. Like, it doesn't have to be in a box. There's so many really amazing friends that I have that really do things that are really out of the box for the DTs. Especially in my work, I don't know how many videos you guys have seen, but there's some really, really talented people that the services they do are really out there. Like, you wouldn't think somebody who is good at molding can be useful in the way that they can at the temple. So I think it's so important that we can try and explore these unexplored categories of interests of us that sometimes we don't really try to express as much. So this is the way, the first way which I think we can all try to, implement what we like. The second thing is indirect categories. These are things, like I said, that maybe sometimes the other person likes, but we don't like as much. For example, if you're really introverted. Honestly, by nature, I'm quite shy. I'm not like the most outgoing, expressive person, but my service kind of pushes me to talk to groups like all of you and sometimes bigger, where I have to kind of, get out my comfort zone and be like, okay, I need to put my fears aside and just speak. That's when we explore indirect categories. We're doing something that may not be as natural to us or as appealing to us, but for the sake of service and for the sake of you knowing it's going to have a benefit on someone, you kind of get out that comfort zone. And this could be something that you haven't done yet, but you're willing to try in order to make this relationship work. Am I making sense so far?
Yes.
Okay, so we have two things. We have explore untried services which might be of interest to you, and indirect categories, something that's more of interest to the other person. So I think this is a really, really nice way, especially in youth, in a way to, also enjoy it. It doesn't have to be always in the box, what every one of the other adults are doing. Maybe you don't like to cook, fine, do something you like to do. But try and engage it in a way that you can connect with the Lord through this way. Is there anyone that can suggest something that you like doing and you want to try maybe implementing more into your maybe service? Anybody here that has a specific talent that maybe they want to try and implement more?
Recently, for one of the festivals here in temple, we got this opportunity to make embroidery things what they put on Jagannath, the turban pieces.
Ah, okay.
So I think personally for me, embroidering was not my cup of tea. But then once I did that service, I understood that, okay, you can do things. Nothing is impossible.
Yeah.
So that aspect, this thing just hit as I stood about the indirect category.
Thank you. That was really nice. Yeah, so exploring things that we
Yes.
haven't really done before and using it to connect with the Lord. And
Yeah.
somehow, really, in my experience, doing that, for example, I like writing, but I really didn't think I'd end up writing a book. But somehow it happened, and somehow, because of that, I feel like I'm able to connect with Krishna just a little bit more, because I feel like this is my offering to you, and I hope you're pleased with it, and hopefully I'm of some meaning to you. Not that he needs me to write books, but this is my way of offering my interests or my hobbies to the Lord. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, the second one is A for accountability. What does accountability mean? Holding someone accountable. Taking ownership. Okay, good. Anything else? Pretty much what you said, taking ownership. If you're accountable for something, somebody is always saying, you hear your parents, be accountable for your actions. Be responsible, being responsible, right? So there's two things. There's self-accountability and external accountability. What is an ideal way of practicing spirituality as a youth? I think it's different for everyone in this room. Maybe some of you like to chant japa, maybe some of you don't. Maybe some of you like to read, wake up in the morning, pray. Maybe some of you like to sing. I'm sure everyone here has a different approach to it. So one thing that I find that is really, really important and helpful is being self-accountable. And this means using introspection, things like journaling, sadhana chats. Who knows what a sadhana chat is here? Some of us. Okay, a sadhana chat is basically a timetable. We hear in this modern day and age, everyone's into like bullet journaling and scheduling, and it's really, really good actually. I schedule all the time. Making a small schedule of a day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is what I want to do and achieve in every day. This is how I want my morning to look every single day. Maybe from whenever you wake up to this time, I'm gonna maybe chant something. I'm gonna read just 2-3 pages of a book. And in that way, it doesn't become a habit where we wake up and say, I have to run to school. We have that accountability. I have to check those boxes in the sadhana sheet. Does anybody already do this? Is this something that anybody's doing? A few people? Yeah? Is this something you'd be interested to try and do?
Yes.
It's really helpful and something I always do. I just had a group of, I think, 50 new people completely outside of any Krishna consciousness, and we did, for the month of Kartik, we did sadhana chats for 1 month. And every day they had to tick and show me what they've done. And because I was checking it, they had to be accountable. They had to, try and follow as much as they can. And the goal was after the 30 days were done, now they're just doing it by themselves. And there are some days, you're tired, you've had a late night, you don't want to wake up in the morning, it's fine. But doing things like journaling, writing a schedule, these help you be accountable for your own self. Another thing that is really important, and which I'm trying to do now more, is self-checking myself every few months or every few weeks. How have I improved as a person? Doesn't mean like, oh, how much have I improved as a devotee? Even as a person, how have I improved? Being self-introspective. So I think making resolutions is also important. Oftentimes we make these gigantic promises, I'm not going to eat sweets for a year, then we fail in, the first 3 days, someone makes a cake and it's like, oh, what's our stuff on Monday? But making small little resolutions, I want to do this for this month, or maybe this for this month. Is that something we can try? Yes. And again, different for all of us everywhere. Everyone's on a different level here, and that's fine, but make resolutions according to your ability. You don't have to try and aim for the moon, There's that saying, if you aim for the moon, you might hit the stars. Right? So that's something I read on our school and it's really stuck with me, that just try and maybe you'll go somewhere. Okay, the second one is external accountability. And that basically means, as we grow spiritually, having someone to hold us accountable for our actions. Having someone in our life, whether it's a counselor, you have wonderful teachers here, so maybe it's a teacher, maybe it's a friend. I'm sure some of you are friends here, right? Yes. Okay, yes. I hope so. So having a friend hold us accountable, it's really, really helpful to always have that one person that can be honest with us and be like, oh, you can open up to and say, I'm struggling with this, and they can help you. I have a friend like that, I can tell her, I'm just like, I can't, read, I'm not finding time, and she'll be like, okay, why don't we try doing this together, why don't we sit down and read together? Or I was at one point doing sadhana chats every single day, and I would send them to my spiritual master, and I knew because he was looking at them, I had to be good, So I had to be honest and I had to be good. So yeah, basically creating a personal accountability system. I will complete one chapter of Bhagavad Gita a day, or 5 pages. That's a lot. I'll finish this many pages in this many days. Making small resolutions, having someone being accountable for you, and also being self-accountable. Does anyone have any questions on this, on accountability? All good? Okay, so far what we have C for? And A for? Accountability. Okay. S is for space, and this is making room for Krishna. Now this is also physical space, having somewhere in our house. I think a lot of you may be away from home right now, is that correct? Yeah, so I'm actually also in university right now. I'm doing my master's, and it's my first time being away from home, like living somewhere completely new. But having a little space in my house that is just dedicated to me and Krishna, it's something special that I can sit down, and that's my kind of place of meditation, prayer. Does anybody else have this, that they can, yeah? Some of us, we can just sit down and we can connect with the Lord in this way. That's really special this week because we come to the temple and it's nice, but that's a place for everyone to come and congregate, right? We're sharing that space with thousands of others, and sometimes it might be hard to fully connect. So having a small place in your own home, it doesn't have to be fancy, but somewhere where you put a little bit of effort into making it nice and comfortable for the Lord. And taking time to sit there and pray, reflect, meditate is very, very important and can help develop your relationship with Krishna. Community space we already have, you're all coming to places like the temple. Having something like a reading group. Do we have a reading group here? We had. Okay. Is that something that you would all be interested in starting again? Something like getting together and reading. I think that would be a nice communal effort, to advance. Because it's hard to do it alone all the time. I also don't like doing sadhana all the time by myself. It gets a little bit boring. Okay, and inner space. This is the most important one, and I think something I struggle with is you get so lost in this age of this distraction that we forget to make space for the Lord inside ourselves. We have to study for 6 hours a day, and I have to go meet this friend for 1 hour a day, and then I have to talk to my parents, and I have to cook, and I have to clean, and it's like, okay, at the end of the day, maybe I'll chant 2 rounds, and then that's fine. We'll figure it out on Sunday when we go to the temple. Is that relatable? Yes. Yeah. Very much. But doesn't it seem maybe more one-sided then? Like we said, the balance is not there in the relationship. So why don't we try putting this inner space as a priority? Let's try it for a few weeks. Let's make Krishna the number one. And that doesn't mean we're going to be fanatic and forget our studies and forget university, but making Krishna the number one. And then after that, everything's going to fall. And honestly, you'd be really surprised with the change that's going to make in your life. It may seem, we're not going to do well in school. That's what a lot of parents think. If they were listening to me talking, they'll probably say. But you'd be surprised that inner space that you connect with the Lord with, everything else just falls into place after that. So physical sacred space, community space, and inner space, all three are very important. And over here, if someone is serious about a relationship, they won't look here and there. Space is important. And I found it really amazing. I was just in the Middle East last week. I go to the Middle East a lot, and there's a lot of it's a Muslim country, obviously. And having a temple there is pretty much illegal. And I found it so amazing. I went to Bahrain, and they had this beautiful, gigantic temple there, like this underground kind of sheltered place with an outside cover, and wonderful deities. And they were just like, this is important to us. We need a space to come and connect to the Lord, and we'll figure it out when the time comes. So I just think it's quite fascinating. There was also a Kirtan Mela in Qatar. Is anybody from Qatar here?
She's from Bahrain. We were in Muscat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Muscat, okay. So Qatar is also strict, but Qatar is like very heavily strict. Like you can't wear neck beads, you can't wear tilak. So every time I go to the airport, they always say, take everything off and come. But they had a Kirtan Mela, I think 2 years ago, and they put it in the disguise of having a wedding. So they told the local authority they're having a wedding in this gigantic banquet hall. And they set up for the Kirtan Mela, and I think the officials came to check if it was actually a wedding. So all the devotees had to hide in the back of the room, the storage room. And you can imagine, hundreds of devotees in the storage room, and then they said, okay, it's time to come out. So then everyone got like slots to come in, so 50 people at a time could come and listen to Kirtan. And I was thinking, wow, we really take it for granted sometimes that we have, especially in India, so much accessibility to the temples, to Kirtan, groups like this. So I think it's really important. If you're really serious about a relationship, put the effort in, especially when you've got the facilities to, enjoy that. You've heard of the saying, when there's love, there's a way. So, yeah, same thing with Krishna. And T for time, the ultimate investment. Time is precious. I think especially the age you're in, on this mission with having this buy-in. Now I need to accomplish this by 20, this by 25. Relatable? Most of you? Yeah? I want to be at a certain place in my job by the time I'm 30. And often at times you'll see like these Bollywood romantic movies. The man will say, my whole life is for you. I dedicate everything to you. And then you give it 5 years and he's like doing his own thing. So similarly with Krishna, sometimes we get this, this romantic moment, like, Krishna, I just want to give everything to you. And then we leave the temple and give it a few days and then we kind of forget. So everyone kind of chants, but it shows how serious you are when you actually mean it. Right? When you're actually dedicating, like I said, blocking time, time blocking. When you're taking that time and you're blocking it, just like we might have like a study routine or a work routine, 9 to 5, how much time do we actually block in the day to make an effort in our relationship with Krishna? Does anybody have like a time block? Like, I want to spend 3 hours a day. I don't either. I say, okay, I'm going to do from this to this, this to this, but I don't have a specific time. I'm going to give 3 hours or 2 hours a day. And 3 hours sounds gigantic, but we have 24 hours in a day. We only sleep for 6 or 7 of them. We eat for barely an hour a day. We don't study for 15 hours. I don't think we're supposed to. Congratulations if you are. I don't think you are. So where does the time go? So when we think about it, in that 24 hours, how are we not even able to give 1 hour or 2 hours a day? So let's try. Let's block that time out. Let's make small commitments. I'm going to do this for this time. I'm going to do this for that time. Journal, time schedule. And we'll see consistent growth. I can guarantee anybody that does this, the time blocking, the scheduling, the sadhana steps, 100%, there will be consistent growth. Like, no doubt about it. And the last and the foremost is Krishna is our best friend. It's so easy to get kind of caught up in this order and reference. Obviously, he is the Supreme Lord, but at the same time, he's also really our best friend. I always try to make an effort whenever I go in front of the deities also to offer prayers. And I try not to ask for anything like we've been taught. But I generally feel like I can open up about any problems I'm having. I'm not asking for anything. But Krishna is someone that he can listen to you. He's not going to judge. He's not someone that you're kind of wasting his time. He's always there. He's just standing there. You just have to tell him. Develop that relationship with him. And even if you feel maybe it's in your head, I don't want to ask anything, I don't want to trouble, but start. Develop that relationship. Develop that bond with the Lord. Krishna is our most solid companion when everything else collapses. And when people in the world get hurt, like I was saying, they often have nothing to return to. At some points, they really hit rock bottom. But we have Krishna, so every time we engage in Krishna consciousness, we're building a staircase of faith. We're building our faith one block by one block, and eventually we have like a staircase. Each practice, each prayer, each schedule, each moment of remembrance adds another step upwards. So ways to strengthen practically our relationship is daily japa. Do we also sometimes try to chant like a few rounds a day? Do we have like a commitment? Yeah, so daily japa, reading scriptures with curiosity, not just reading it, I have to read 5 pages a day, let's get it over and done with. But be inquisitive. What am I reading? Let's try to meditate on what we're actually reading. Serving devotees. I'm sure all of you are engaged in some service or the other. But like I said, it doesn't always have to be something you don't want to do. You can also engage, take your own initiative to find something you enjoy and make it something. It's not always given to you. Like, for example, writing. I didn't have a service of writing, but I liked to write. So I was like, let me write a manuscript and see where it goes from there. And then, next thing led to another, and I have a book now. And now I have 4 books. I'm not boasting about myself, but I'm saying each one of you in this room are definitely more qualified than I am. So I'm sure, taking that time to invest in that interest that you have, make it useful for something. Come to the temple, I want to offer this. No one's going to say no, they'll encourage you. Sharing Krishna consciousness with others. Whatever level we're at, I feel like we can also put a friend in. Take a friend on the journey with you, or even if you don't want to bring someone from outside in, connect with people in this room. Friendships are so important, and we really, really need friendships to, develop our strength and build our strength in Krishna consciousness. Because otherwise, just alone, this is not something we want to do alone. This is something we want to connect. We need friends to do this with. And it also makes it fun, it's not then just, following your parents or your family, you're connecting with people your own age. Attending festivals, do we all like festivals?
Yes.
Yeah, they're fun, right? So, and deepening your understanding through study. So there's also spiritual study, especially if you're interested in intellectual things. Courses you can do, there's the Bhakti Shastri course, there are Vaishnav etiquette courses, there are so many courses that a lot of youth do. I know in mine for every year, at least maybe 7 or 8 of my friends in the UK fly to Mayapur for 6 months, and they just take a spiritual sabbatical, where they spend from October to March just studying scriptures. And it sounds like, oh, that doesn't sound very fun, but then when class is over, after they've studied, they go home, they converse, and then they take part in the festivals in the temple, they do services, so it's just 6 months dedicated to this. And I think that's really helpful, especially when you have the time, the ability to do it, before maybe you get married or even after, but when we have less commitments, at a younger age, it's really helpful to do things like this. So just another way to strengthen our relationship. How much time do we have? We have time? Okay. With the new year coming up very, very soon, this year has flown by for me, and every year, I think like a lot of people here, I make a bunch of resolutions, and I manage to do 2 or 3, but out of the list, there's always I think 7 remaining. So I'm trying in the last 2 years to make more practical resolutions, and somehow it's working. So especially things like things about myself. It doesn't always have to be okay, I want to walk 10,000 steps a day. I know that's not going to happen. But maybe just saying, okay, in general, I want to start scheduling my needs. I'm going to start time blocking. This is something I've been doing and I'm still doing throughout the year. Because this is practical things that we can do. Maybe, so I want all of you, there's 3 things that we're going to do. One is reflect on last year. I want you to reflect on what you did in the last year that helped you build your relationship with Krishna. Anything. It could be conscious or unconscious. Anything that helped you develop this relationship. It could even be coming to this classes. The fact that you all come on a Sunday, every Sunday, I think it's amazing. You could be going out and doing so many things. So it's so nice. A service you took up, a friendship you made. It could be someone in this room, someone outside. Number 2 is look. What are you looking forward to? What are you looking forward to in the next year? And okay, it doesn't always have to be spiritual. It could be anything. What are you looking forward to in the next year? Maybe it's something in school. Maybe it's something at work. What might help you also develop your relationship with Krishna the next year? Are you trying to do a new service? Are you trying to do? Are you trying to get a position in the temple? It doesn't even have to be that. Anything you want to do. What are you looking forward to in the next year? And the last one is, what is something you want to get better at? And this is the most important area, because be honest and specific, be genuine. If chanting is something you find difficult, be honest about it. That's what I want to get better at. Maybe it's the quality of our chanting, maybe it's reading, maybe it's waking up in the morning early, anything that you want to improve on, let's try and identify our growth areas. So I'm going to ask, I don't know if you have something, you can even just think about it and then, yes, do we have enough papers? We're going to do something else after. Yeah. Okay. So maybe we'll pass the papers around and you can just take, you can do like 10 minutes. And if you want to share, it'll be really nice to hear because I think it will help everyone else. And I also want to hear practically, how are you going to implement the growth areas into your life? What is some things that you can do practically? Let's try and make a resolution, an early resolution, that we don't have to start now, we can start in the new year. But let's build up our way towards it. Is that okay?
Yes.
Alright. I'm going to do 2, so then we can go share.
Yeah.
If
If
you
you don't have pens, just let me know. What? All of these are papers.
I'm writing it just in case.
No, whatever they use, they have to work through. Which is why I just don't go through and much more sheets. I already went and asked.